Have another beer, buddy.
Chatty chat chat chat. I think that they probably said that being shorter is advantageous.
Well, they need to teach me then. There you go. So we had to poke a little fun at him. Call you Ginger Swag.
Yeah. If you weren't bowlers, what would you have liked to have done instead? Anything else. Literally anything else.
That's a great answer.
The horse is so dead that it's on some kid's school project in a landfill already.
And there you have it. No. We'll talk in the one more.
Terrible idea.
Huh.
What's up?
What up?
Just thinking about this. I need to change our picture out because we got a handful more of those. I mean,
don't you have like Parker Bone and?
Yeah, Parker Bone and Jason Couch and Pete Weber, I'm pretty sure, are the other three. So
sweet.
I think there's actually there was 2 picture frames. I just need to figure out where the other one was at because I've got 2 in this one. I just need to take the back off and flip them around. But then there's also a second picture frame period. So
right. Still trying to decide what I'm going to hang up behind me. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm looking at it in front of me. So hopefully the next time I do this from my house, I can I'll have a cool new setup.
Yep. That'll
Sweet.
Be good for the winter months when won't be able to make it over anyway.
Too cold.
And then I'd had this thought the other day since we've got football back in season, back in session. I didn't know whether we wanted to flip back to Wednesdays to avoid Monday Night Football or whether we wanted to keep it on Mondays. We can put it up to the chat. Angel actually bowls the Women's League on Wednesday, and so it's wide open for me. I know that Ray Ray's schedule is...
Well, she still has gymnastics on Wednesdays anyway. So
okay.
But she has gymnastics on Mondays, so it doesn't matter to me. Yes, Mondays or Wednesdays are...
Okay. Yeah. All right, so we can talk about that. We can put that to a vote in the chat. I haven't done a ticker for a while.
Put a ticker at the bottom. That's why we have nice things.
Bo Nix, fat head behind you. There you go.
Yeah. What are we drinking tonight, fellas? I am starting off with a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah,
just a cheap whiskey.
Yeah. I don't know. Like coffee sounded good to me when I got home, so I'm finishing off coffee. But then I've got a couple of nice selections that I'll be dipping into here in a minute.
Paws hang a Red Sox logo or a Mizzou logo or both. Yeah, see, I like those. I actually have got to dig through an old tub of mine, but I've got some old bowling pictures too. Nothing as big as what the Chris Barnes logo behind you is, but that'd be kind of cool too. I might have to put Elvis behind me in a spot.
All right, we got to run.
Yeah, because we can start Wednesdays as soon as our next show. So
yeah, we can do whatever there. I just thought about it because I've got a few bets hinging on, and a few bets and a few players hanging out.
Yeah, I'm excited for tonight's game. Christian McCaffrey is not playing tonight for those that are inquiring. They just announced it. But.
Okay, I'm going to have to adjust that because he is my main guy in my Panda Pack League.
Well, you better fix that then.
Yeah.
That is a full glass, yes. It is a full glass because it'll last me for the first 20, 30 minutes of the show.
Does Dylan have – I'm kind of remembering like Dylan has Christian McCaffrey, and that would really suck for him.
Yeah, because everybody's already played, so you can't really switch them out.
Well, and that was the other thing is Sleeper has this new function where you can automatically select an auto spot. So, like if you're busy or you miss that a player is like a game time decision, you can pick an auto sub. So if the player in your lineup doesn't play, it'll automatically put that other selected person back into your.
What app is that?
Huh?
What app is that?
Sleeper.
I play a league on Sleeper. Yeah.
No, Dylan does not have Christian McCaffrey, but yeah,
you might hear some noise here in just a second. They're actually delivering my desk as we speak, so
yeah,
might hear my dogs bark or dog. So, I only have one now.
So I did end up swapping in Stephon Diggs for Curtis Samuel into my lineup, but I neglected to see that I also had Christian Kirk one of my flexes instead of Mike Evans, and so Mike Evans got 23 sitting on my bench, but I'm still in good shape for. How are you looking for your big league match or your?
Well, one league I've got Nakua and Jordan Love in the same league. Yeah,
well, I've got Nakua in my Panda Pack league.
That was a kick in the groin because I lost them both for about 4 weeks. So, Billy, at least you formidable football team 3-4. I'm also a big Missouri Tigers fan, big Missouri Tigers. So we have a damn good football team. Someone say whiskey. Yeah, there you go, ADHD whiskey.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I think all my bench players have played, and so I'm just not going to have Christian McCaffrey. I'm just going to be down a spot tonight. So
I've had that happen to me before. It happens.
It's a free league though, so it's not like.
Yeah. So, guys, for those of you who see the ticker down below, we're talking about possibly going back to Wednesday nights during the winter season, just because of football mostly. Obviously, I know a lot of you that watch this show probably really like football at the same time, and we kind of run in between it, or run in together with it. By the time we get done, you usually miss probably a good point of the first quarter. So
yeah, it starts late enough that we could probably work around it and be fine, or we could just. I mean, most of the time we get to about 7:30 and don't really have anything left to talk about anyway. So we could just go on ahead, and once we're done talking, we could just shut it off, or just shut it off a little early if we stick on Mondays, or we can just move the whole thing to Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm good either way.
Yeah, either way we go, it's not going to work out for somebody. But
well, you can always go back and watch.
Yeah, if you have an opinion, you can. Drop it in there.
My school has Mizzou on the schedule this year. We're going to get smoked. Who's your school? I'm curious. Missouri has played 2 games this year so far, and we've allowed 0 points. So, granted, we haven't played anybody, but still taking care of business.
Yeah.
Take care of business. Got people cycle in here since we started right on time. We got 49.
We got a fairly sizable crowd now, so
everybody wants to hear us rant on the USBC, I'm sure.
Yeah, they had a little snafu with the year-long brackets. I think all of it actually. Well, especially the year-long stuff, because most people pick up their bracket, like their same-day brackets, while they're there.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course.
Especially if they make money, it's like you're not going to just leave it there. But the year-long brackets, an older version before they had made revisions to take out disqualified players or players that had gotten re-rated, basically. An earlier version before all those adjustments were made was put on the USBC website, but when people got issued checks, they ended up getting different results than they expected. Even one person, Alex Cavignaro, I think is how you say his name. I'd have to pull it back up. But he got on there and saw that he was getting like $2,600 back, and then he got his check. Did not have $2,600 on it.
No, it only had like $100 or something like that, didn't it? It was something low.
He was $2,600 shorter than he thought he should have been, but he shot 160 the first game and then didn't have a game under like 220 the rest of the way. So he had a rough first game to start team and then just smoked him the rest of the way. And then he got on there and saw that it said that he had $2,600 coming back, and then that just did not show up on his check. So
that would piss me off. That's not chump change. I mean, $2,600 isn't a ton of money. Let's be honest, but it isn't the bowling world. You make $2,600. Yeah, you're expecting that money.
Yeah. I would like it. It's not life changing, and it's not going to last more than a month probably, because you're just going to catch up on some kind of bills or something. But
not in this world we live in.
If I saw $2,600 laying on the sidewalk, I'd definitely bend over to pick it up. He
must work out. Sorry. Couldn't resist myself there.
Also, we've had a lot of, it's been kind of an ongoing discussion for the last several years. Sweep the Rack guys, Big Mike and Brooklyn Rob.
Yeah.
Patch Pirates is still the funniest thing I've ever heard. I had to make a Patch Pirate jersey, and I actually had kind of dueling articles with Big Mike through Wriggles a couple years ago, and didn't really agree with him at the time, but I've kind of let it percolate a little bit, and less a fan of his delivery of it, but he's got a lot of good points. And I think if you watch the show, some people just they're just loudmouth blowhards, but that's kind of the shtick. They kind of lean into that. It's one of those things where it's like they're not like they're not actually like super angry, aggressive, or whatever. It's just they're passionate about the game, they're passionate about what they're saying, but it's not that big of a deal. Like they're reasonable guys. You can talk to them. I saw an interview that they did with Carolyn Doran Ballard because she saw the Patch Pirates thing on Twitter and totally did not understand.
Yes, I remember this.
And that was a very good interview. I watched the whole thing of that. And then they had Chad Murphy on a couple days ago where he talked about the Open Championships. He explained the whole thing about the brackets fiasco. And so if you want the story from the mouth of the man himself, then check out Sweep the Rack.
But also teased a possible new division.
Yes, they talked about that, and that could be interesting. We'll see. Some people already think that there's too many divisions, but we can definitely talk about that. But they've had kind of, especially Mike, has had kind of an ongoing feud with the Patch Pirates, and being a staffer, the definitions have kind of changed. Just in the 10 years that I've been doing YouTube, a lot of things have changed. It's more kind of like people are using it more to become bowling famous or whatever, rather than trying to put information out there. They want to be a somebody. They want to get free equipment. They want to get whatever else, and so they're kind of leaning into clickbaity stuff and this, that, and the other, and not being totally or completely honest, because not every ball's a must-have ball in the bag, or all the sensationalist titles or whatever else. And so, and I had an interaction with what was being referenced in the chat here about my calluses on my fingers from pounding the keyboards. I had a discussion with somebody yesterday talking about the price of bowling stuff in general, and he felt that things in the industry where the bowlers are getting price gouged. And I'm not necessarily doing this to just respond to one person in my comment section, but it is something. Bowling is expensive. We talked about this several times, and after having the discussion with this person, there's a lot of people out there that just really don't understand. So I thought that it is a conversation that's on a lot of people's minds that is worth having, and so we will talk a little bit about that too. So sweet,
yeah. There was some drama in the bowling world this last week. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Bear with me tonight. I've still got a lingering cough from being sick, so you may hear me cough.
Yeah, well, everybody knows that I can't shut up, so I'm about to pour myself a bowl of loudmouth soup.
Let's go over and have ourselves a couple bowls of loudmouth soup.
Yeah.
Man, this party really died.
Hang by the bar, put out the vibes. Didn't need to. I was kind of hoarding this stuff, but Heath is bringing me some more this week. So I'm like, okay, I can actually drink it. This is the stuff, the Grand Traverse Isles O' Rye. I had to try it the other day, but it's the bourbon that finishes like Scotch.
Oh, yeah.
A really kind of smoky finish to it. Traverse City, Michigan. 50%, 100 proof. Isles O' Rye. Straight rye whiskey bottled in bond. And he said, yeah, it doesn't really say anything about any extra smoke or anything on here, but he said he went on a tour of the distillery, and they had tastings and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, he's like, I tried this stuff and thought of you because I really like Scotch. And he said, it's very interesting. It starts, like a regular rye whiskey up front, a good one, but then it finishes with that kind of smoky, little bit of peaty Scotch finish, or the Scotch flavor.
Yummy. I forgot to ask Mr. Bill to bring me some Breckenridge whiskey. I totally dropped the ball on that. I probably have time to still get him to do it.
Probably, possibly.
But nice set of Hooters you got there. The owls. They're beautiful. Hi, Harry Dunn.
Any unusual breedings? No, mostly just doggy style.
The fact that he says it's straight face, though.
Yeah.
We called it a bullshit. Oh, gosh. That movie's so great. Sorry, Gas Man.
Electrolytes. It's what plants crave.
Did somebody get intoxicated the night before or something? Is that why we're drinking electrolytes?
Yeah. The PBA LBC still hasn't paid out from the tournament back in late July. I know 2 cats that cashed. You haven't seen a check yet.
Oof.
Sometimes we'd have to check and see. Let's see. LBC winnings weren't towards PBA exempt entries. They appreciate the donations.
It's not wrong.
Sometimes if somebody files an appeal or something, with something, it can take up to an extra 30 days or something like that before they have to cash the checks. But typically, any tournament has to issue checks no later than 30 days past the finish date of the tournament.
Yeah.
So
that's a common thing in tournaments too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it happens frequently in Springfield. I think it happened in Springfield this year. And then I think Tulsa it happens. Well, they had the one where the one guy got disqualified. That was from around here a couple of years ago. He shot 800 and didn't have a sanction card from the year before. And they disqualified him, but he still appealed it. And so they had to go through that whole mess. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I don't think so.
Yeah. John DeWise.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Knowingly, he didn't have a sanction card. He thought that he didn't realize he had to buy one for the next year.
Yeah.
So he thought he was good for the whole year, but he bought it like late in the year or something. Don't quote me on that, but
yeah. So what had happened is, he so what was Springfield again?
It was Tulsa.
Tulsa because Tulsa happens later in the year. So he had bought a card the previous August for the regular year. Yes. Well, you have to re-up again in August, but he didn't bowl. He didn't bowl a league in August, and so he thought that he was still good from his previous sanction card, and he wasn't.
Yeah, you've got to be presently sanctioned.
Yeah. Now, part of this is on the tournament for not checking that, yes. But some of those things are kind of like, it's kind of like when, you stay at a hotel and they say, make sure to take all your stuff in because we're not going to be liable if your car gets broken into. We've got lights and whatever else. But if your car gets broken into, it's your problem. And so They don't have the people to check all of this stuff. It's like USBC runs this big, gigantic tournament, but they having to individually verify everything. I remember it being a big enough problem when we were running the shootout with just 40 people trying to verify averages and look stuff up and whatever else. It's very time consuming, and you just can't expect them to do all that. And so they kind of have to put it on you. It's like, look, you need to verify all this stuff. If we go to issue, it makes a whole lot more sense for people to make sure that they have their ducks in a row, and then them to only verify cashing spots at the end of the tournament. Because if you don't cash, nobody cares whether you're legal or not, because there's no money coming back on it. It makes a whole lot more sense to just wait and see who cashes and then do their checking after the fact.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there were some guys from Topeka one year in Springfield that got disqualified, and they won like doubles or something like that. I don't remember who it was, but I recall that they went in there with like super low averages, and I know their averages weren't that low, and didn't speak up. And I think they ended up winning doubles, but obviously they got DQ'd. So.
Oh yeah, I think
you know what I'm talking about.
Well, there was one where I think it was Ryan Essman forgot to sign them up for doubles or something like that. I think that might have been in a city or state. No, it was state. That was state. He forgot to check the box to sign them up for doubles, and they thought they had done really well and we're going to cash big or possibly win the event, but he didn't sign them up. He didn't sign them up for all events, sign somebody up for all events or doubles or something like that. And yeah, it was a little bit of a problem.
Kind of a confusing mistake. How do you make that? But whatever.
Billy Bull dropped some info in here. He said that they had enough teams. They have enough teams now to make a 4th division, but that doesn't necessarily mean there will be one. He did say the regular division is going to be smaller.
Interesting. And we're referring to the USBC from the comments that were made on the Rack podcast.
Yeah, the Open.
Just joining.
Yeah, the Open Championships. And yeah, all this will be covered. Again, we can speculate on it and whatever else, but they had Chad Murphy on the other day. And so that's the absolute, if we don't happen to know all the facts or get something quite right, that's the source.
Yeah.
So
that be the source. Mm-hmm. Did we ever figure out what the guy's name was? That I don't think we did. That the USBC, where he's the one that called him out.
Yeah. Well, Alex Cavagnaro, I think, is what is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You said that. Okay. Disregard.
I think he's a friend of mine on.
And they solved it, but I mean,
yeah.
Did we decide how or say how they solved it by chance? I don't remember. We kind of bounced around.
Well, so what they did was, so instead of just saying, "Oh, sorry," this was the what was posted was an old edition before we adjusted things because of the people that got disqualified or re-rated or whatever. They said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to pay everyone out based on the highest number between the two lists. And so Alex, for example, got his $2,600. And so the USBC ended up paying an extra $50,000 out because if people got on the list and saw that they made money and then didn't get that money on the check, they didn't want to just short them and say, oh, well, we kind of goofed. Sorry.
Yeah, you kind of got to eat that one at that point.
Yeah, and to their credit, they did the right thing.
They did.
People that got disqualified, James brought up this point. It's like, well, but that means that people that got disqualified or re-rated, they would still get the number that they had on that original list. But Wriggles got in there, and James posted something on Facebook, and Wriggles got in there and said, well, if they got disqualified, they didn't get anything. But I would have to think that the people that got re-rated or that that had the number reduced after the re-rates and disqualifications, they would still get the money that they thought that they were getting. And if the second list that came out was actually made people that didn't make a whole lot on the first list, if they actually made quite a bit more on the second list, then they would go on ahead and get the higher sum of the two lists.
Right.
So basically, I guess they have one guy that runs all the brackets, the year-end brackets, the super brackets, and all that stuff on the software that he built that's like 20 years old. And so they have this one person that does all of this. And basically, it was just they posted to the website the wrong or an earlier draft of. So it's like an unofficial list before they went through again and did their checks and disqualifications, re-rates, or whatever else. They posted that version of the standings rather than the final official version of the standings is what happened.
Gotcha. Well, that's a fair way to do it, though. At least they owned up to it. It's about time.
Yeah. My assumption is that they will stop posting unofficial results. It seems safer. Yeah. Wriggle's suggestion was to have them do it, hire an actual firm to do it and be transparent about it, or live stream the thing like you would, because a lot of the times you don't know. Like you just hand them your entry and your money, and then you get back whatever they say you get back.
Yeah, because you won't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the benefit of the brackets being you can see the bracket postings afterwards. You can go look it up on a kiosk at Nationals and see the actual brackets instead of just kind of, here's my money and then this is what I get back. This is why at tournaments they post their brackets so that you can see who you're bowling. You can kind of verify things yourself rather than just, here's my money and then here's your money back type of deal. But that's kind of what happens at nationals. You don't actually know who you were, especially the super brackets, year-end brackets or whatever. You just kind of have to trust that they entered numbers correctly, that everything went right.
Yeah, and that's tough, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Late to the show, give them credit for taking the L to do the right thing. And yeah, this is the only thing that they could have and should have done.
Yeah.
You know, mistakes happen, and it did cost them quite a bit. But this was best case scenario. Sometimes mistakes happen, and this, you know, people got extra money out of the deal, and so realistically, happy accident for everybody. And so it's, you know, you can say whatever you want to about USBC, but people got $50,000 extra out of it. So I don't really know why anybody's complaining. There are better ways to do it, sure, but
Wednesday's better. Cool. We'll take that into account. Appreciate it.
One vote for Wednesday. I gotta check.
Is that Wednesday is better just during like football season or like Wednesdays normally? Just curious.
Yeah, because I mean, Wednesdays, I work from home on Wednesday, and so Wednesday, either in season, out of season, whatever, Wednesday's a fine night for me year round. So
same. I don't bowl anything on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Usually Wednesdays I relax, and if I don't do it on Mondays, I'll do it or I'll relax on Mondays and not Wednesdays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So not a big deal to me on that. But yes, they did. Kudos to the USBC. They did make it right. They had to take one in the pocket, but you know, Wednesday's good during football season. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's why we're thinking about making a move.
Doke. Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Same time, same place on Wednesdays, but we're not done. We're not leaving here. We're just getting started. But yeah, they took one in the pocketbook there but to do the right thing. That I think that was a good way for them to do it. Saves face a little bit, I think, especially since they've got. It's the best way to put this: a dark cloud that's over them, and everybody thinks about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like in this situation they did the right thing.
I'm sure they just used the dollars from the 500 session video sales. Yeah, I still haven't seen the video because we did get our stuff recorded this year. I just haven't seen where we've actually gotten yet. Jason Nelson says, can't do much checking on year-long brackets. It's 100%. Here's my money. Tell me what I won later. Yeah, that's really what it is. The regular brackets you can check. The year-longs are okay. I'll take what I get here.
That's why I think they should make it where it's online and you can check it.
Yeah,
as in, like every week you can maybe update it weekly,
and
you should be able to go on there and log in on bowl.com and check the year-long brackets.
With the year-long brackets, I don't think that they actually run them until the tournament has concluded. I don't think that they even start, like they just run all that. They just wait until they collect all the year-long entries, and then as soon as the tournament's over with, then they run all the super brackets and the.
Oh, they just randomize it and
yeah,
because
they really can't start them without having everybody included, so to speak.
Yes, that's true.
And so probably the better way to think about it is it's tournament long brackets.
Yeah. So
once they have all the entries, then they just run them all at the same time.
That would make more sense. I don't know what I was thinking, so disregard that. Whatever happened to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
Whatever happened to that guy that won big money last year at Nationals? Wasn't it the super brackets?
It was everything. Because that guy had and we talked about this last year, but to refresh everybody's memories, this guy, what had happened is he went to Nationals.
This guy, yeah.
In like 2015, he had just started bowling like a year before. He went to Nationals in 2015, 2016, 2017. Didn't do very well. Stopped going to Nationals for a few years, but continued bowling, got quite a bit better. And then when he showed up in last year, the tournament rule is that they use your last 21 games of the USBC Open Championships average, and that is your average. And he tried to say, well, it's like, yeah, I just haven't bowled in a few years. He tried several times to tell them, it's like, I don't belong in the classified division. I don't belong in classified. And they said, no, these are tournament rules. You have 21 games of Open Championship. That is your Open Championships average. That's the division that you belong in per the rules. And so he's like, fine, bet. And so he did. And he hit the all-in button every single squad, and he made like $30,000.
As he should.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that still question the morality of that, I guess, saying, but yeah, he knew he was in the wrong division, but he still decided to take a lot of those people's money anyway. But
they refused to take him out of it. So
at that point, you can argue and say, sure, okay, well, but at the same time, that's also hurting you, because then if you're like, oh, I need to do the right thing, then you wouldn't enter any brackets, period, and wouldn't win any money. Or the other thing is this just by competing in that division, he's going to end up he ended up placing fairly well. He didn't bowl anything great, but he still did really well in the regular standings. So even just bowling the tournament period still meant that he was taking money from people in a division that he wasn't supposed to be in. And so the only thing that he was really pigeonholed into doing is hitting the all-in button or just not bowling. And
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, you have two options.
Yeah, that's it. You either hit the all-in button or you just don't bowl. And he was already in Vegas. He'd already paid the plane tickets, hotel, whatever, all the expenses to get out there. It's not, well, I'm going to do the right. Well, if you guys say this, but I'm just going to do the right thing and not bowl. No, you hit the all-in button. I'm all for justice and for right and wrong and, doing the right thing and whatever else. But in that situation, I hit the all-in button. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. He did everything he could to try to get himself re-rated, and they said no. So
that's on them.
I'm just going to sell my car and, dump $10,000 into brackets and whatever else.
Sell my car.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get into brackets.
Yeah.
Hopefully you leave yourself an out so you can get your car back when you win 30,000.
Yeah, and this is the other thing is they did end up. I think that what they did is they removed him. They went on ahead and paid him, but they also removed him, or they basically paid everybody else what they would have gotten had he not been in the standings. I can't remember what they did with the brackets. I'm not sure if they removed him and reran them. I know that they did that with the standings. They basically went ahead and paid him his money, but then they also had an alternate prize fund list.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah. Sorry, in his case, all-in button for sure. It's not his fault. And he would have been, the one taking it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on team all-in.
And they do limit you to only like 100 brackets per whatever else, and still he's going to be in the majority of them.
Yep.
And that's assuming that they're full to begin with, because if they're full or beyond full, so if he can get in 100 brackets per bracket division, basically 100 forward, 100 reverse, 120 or whatever the numbers is, if they end up having 200 brackets, well, then he's only going to be in half of them. Now he's probably going to sweep that half, but at the same time, you can go to any tournament and get walloped in brackets that shoot 780.
Oh.
Sorry,
I'm sitting here laughing. I'm not laughing at you. It's just Jonathan Tiffany says I have to imagine that when he wanted to get re-rated, he told them, for God's sake, just give it the damn number.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Are those your skis? Both of them?
A little unrelated, but don't want to miss this.
Oh gosh!
Excited to hear your thoughts on ball reviews. Does SPI have some sort of weird no compete where you can't throw their balls after you leave staff? No. No, it's just I'm not going to pay out of my pocket to promote somebody else's product.
No.
So that's why we're not throwing the Storm stuff anymore. I'm not going to, because I would have to, because I'm not buying them at staff prices anymore, which staff prices are still expensive, but not nearly as expensive as trying to procure them on my own, even from a pro shop at their prices. And I'm just not going to spend, 150, $200 to review, to spend 10 hours making a review for a ball for a video that's going to get me $50 in ad revenue.
Well, isn't staff prices with Storm? They're only like $60 a person. Per ball.
Yeah. Apparently they're very cheap. I mean, it wasn't that they must have been doing me dirty.
Yeah.
Because what I heard that people were paying for stuff was, I've asked everybody else. It's like, well, what are you paying for stuff? And what are you paying for stuff? And it's like, somebody said they're getting balls for $75 a pop, and everybody got a pretty good couple out of that. So
with Motive, we actually had a price list. So not everything, kind of like you guys, if it was $100 or whatever it was for everything on the list, and us, we actually had a price list. So the lower end stuff was cheaper, and then all the way up to like a Ghost. I want to say Ghosts were about $100. They went up obviously with COVID and everything, but I think 115. I think we paid for max, and then the Venom Shocks were cheap though. We could get Venom Shocks for like $65.
Yeah, Venom Shocks are actually still very cheap. They're only 100 because Motive is the most expensive company out there, but you can get a Venom Shock for $150 on Bowler's Mart.
Yeah, but they weren't that bad back then though.
Yeah, that's still very competitive for that much ball at that price point. That competes with, the best price stuff on the market relative to performance. So, but the Storm stuff, it wasn't as good of a deal for the lower end stuff because they had a flat rate. So the very low end stuff, like the Hustles, Electrifies, Burners, whatever, that was a little bit cheaper than everything else. But once you hit high road and up, it was one set price for everything. So for a high road, you weren't getting them for a whole lot cheaper than you could buy them on Bowler's Mart. But the big expensive stuff was Ion Max would be a pretty good deal.
Sorry. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
It was nice getting the Venom Shocks for $60-$70, but and then I had an auto ship deal too. So after a bit, so I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah. So.
So when can we expect a ball review for the Motive Silver Sniper?
Yeah, the new Sniper is apparently $200.
Ooh, for a plastic ball?
Yeah. And so while I don't generally agree with people that say that the pro shops are price gouging people, that one I can't really explain away. That's suspect. But they said that there's some kind of, let me get on the website because they said that there's some kind of special process that they have to do.
Their dyno thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or not dyno thing, but their gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Poly thing. I don't know why I said dyno thing. I'm an idiot. Their poly thing.
Let me see. Spare balls, Silver Sniper. Well, it's on Motive's website for $220, but that's retail. That's not actually what that. Let me look it up on Bowler's Mart. I think it's still $200.
Is it made out of real silver?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that it's $220 on the Motive website, but the frickin' what is the Jackal? Well, the Jackals are $235 too. So it's not a whole lot. Let me see.
On Motive's actual website, they're always more expensive on there.
They're always more expensive.
Yes.
But it's $200 on Bowler's Mart for a spare ball.
That's insane.
That to me, I didn't agree with the guy that the other day that said that everybody was getting price gouged. This, however, I can't argue. I can't really argue. $200 for a spare ball.
Wow. I did not realize that until just now. That's wow. I don't know how anybody could pay for that or want to pay for that. Well, the fact that you're going to pay $200 for a plastic ball that is it's a stateside current release. I could see it if it was like, one of those Belmo overseas spare balls or something.
Yeah, that's different.
That's just insane.
Yeah, so basically, but this is another thing with this guy was saying that the government needed to put limits on profit margins and stuff, and that's just not a thing that can actually happen. But in a free market like this, people can choose to say, no, that's too expensive. And so at some point, the places out there will only charge what people will pay. And if people won't pay the prices, people are complaining about the prices, but still paying them, that just, you're a dumbass. But if they put something out like this and people are like, no, that's just too much, they're not going to sell the product. And so they're going to have a bunch of dead product out there, and they're going to discontinue it, and they're going to take it the shorts. So the one way that you can fight back against stuff like this is you don't pay the price. Because something that has been talked about is that, with the pandemic and with everybody recovering from it and with inflation going up and all that stuff, a lot of companies saw the opportunity to use inflation as an excuse to significantly raise prices beyond inflation. So there's a lot of companies. Oh, we have what's happening here? Oh,
am I back?
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Okay, I heard. I was away looking at something and heard the heard the ding, and I'm like, well, somebody's joining the show.
It's my fault. I've been streaming the crap out of football this weekend, like 3 TVs and on my downstairs, and the internet probably hates me. Internet provider, anyways.
Yeah, but
it's on me.
Basically, what I was saying is that there's a lot of companies that used the pandemic and inflation as a reason to artificially create inflation by raising prices way beyond what was reasonable.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of like the fast food places are starting to feel it in the in stocks and stuff. Like McDonald's and Wendy's. I don't know when you went to got some fast food the last time, but it is ridiculously expensive to stop at McDonald's and Wendy's. Like I could go to my brother's brewery and get a great burger and fries for the same price that I can get 2 sad little fish sandwiches and some fries at McDonald's.
Correct. Their
stuff went up crazy in prices. And the answer to that is like, okay, well, it's like, well, you can't take, you used to be, that was the whole point of fast food. It was fast and it was cheap. And so you take your family of 4 or whatever through the McDonald's drive-through, you pay $25 and you'd be fine. Now you're paying $15 a person. So you might as well go to some sit-down restaurant and pay $60 or $70 for actual real good food instead of paying $50 or $60 in the McDonald's drive-through.
Yeah, I agree.
And their stocks are starting to take a hit because people are starting to say, okay, no, this is too far. And so you can say, well, the government should put a stop to this. But at the same time, people with their own logic and reason and their own intelligence and self-control can stop it themselves. Because that's why, people always tell me, it's like, okay, well, you've got some vintage bowling balls, and it's like, well, I could sell whatever. We've got a couple balls that we could sell for quite a bit, and people, well, no ball's worth $350, no ball's worth $400. It's like, it is to somebody. And if I can sell it for that price, that means that's the price that it costs, or that's if I can sell it for $400, that means it's worth $400.
Hey, then you'd be able to go a couple times to McDonald's for a couple fish sandwiches and fries.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually goes exactly with what Rivs is saying here. Do you think if someone found an undrilled IQ Gold, would it still sell for 500 plus? Yeah, that and Alpha Crux. I think people are coming down off the Alpha Crux thing, but an IQ Gold would absolutely sell for $500.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And yeah. Well,
that doesn't check out. I can't leave Norseman for less than $50. They need free refills like McDonald's. Well, except McDonald's, I heard, is getting rid of free refills too.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that's a thing coming.
Speaking of getting gouged in the first place, when Nike can sell, Nike can make a shirt for 50 cents and sell it for $50, we can start talking about some actual numbers. Or when you get a 32-ounce pop somewhere and you only get 20 ounces of liquid because ice takes up half the frickin' cup, and that 20 ounces of liquid costs them like 10 cents and you're paying $3 for it. That's a little different story too.
Oh, it's kind of similar to like go to like Best Buy, places like that, where they make all their money is off of those like HDMI cords and all that stuff. They get them like dirt cheap, they sell them to you for like $25 a pop.
Yeah.
Like they literally get them for like $2 or $3.
Yeah.
And they market them all to be these like high-end HDMI cables and blah, blah, blah. And
God,
they get them dirt cheap and sell them for a lot.
I can remember when HDMI cables came out in the first place.
Yep.
I think I had gotten back when the PS3 came out. I went in there. I got a HD TV, and then I got a PS3, and I think I paid something like $50 for an HDMI cable with gold-plated endings on them or something like that. And I thought, well, I'm getting a really good cable, and then it kind of turns out it's like, yeah, this $10 cable that we get now is just as good. All this extra special crap doesn't. It's
a marketing ploy, man.
Yeah, they're just bleeding you out of your money.
Yep, it's a marketing ploy. Anyways, like even GameStop, use them as an example. Even bowling pro shops, they make good money off accessories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and this is the crazy thing, because at Bowl Expo you can go and meet a lot of the distributor. You can meet distributors. You can meet the brands themselves, and you can negotiate larger packages of inventory direct from the manufacturer. And some of them have, like Storm, I know, has that VIP program where you pay so much and you get like 3 balls for the cost, or you get 4 balls for the cost of 3. And so every single release, they'll send you 1 or 2 or a case of whatever level of VIP you're at. So you can get the big ticket items for cheaper, again, if you negotiate well at Bowl Expo. And of course, the more you can afford to buy, the cheaper you're going to get the prices for. But that works the same way in everything. If you buy in bulk, you're going to get stuff for cheaper per unit than you're going to get if you buy things individual from a distributor. But most people, there's not a whole lot of pro shop monopolies out there. Bowler's Mart, and they're their own distributor anyway. And so that kind of works together. Bowler X is kind of along the same line.
Craziest margin of bowling is sanding pads, in my opinion. Yeah, those are crazy. And so are ball cleaner is also up there.
Now, one of the crazier things is that we would buy. So BSI made these individually packaged microfiber towels. Angel goes to Sam's and buys me 50 microfiber towels for like $10 or something. It's absolutely super dirt cheap. But when I was in the shop, we would sell the individual microfiber towels for $13. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. But even more ridiculous, we weren't super marking them up. We were paying $7.50 or $8 for that microfiber towel. And so everybody can say, it's like, oh my God, you're selling one of these for $13. I can get 50 of them for $13. So it's like, yeah.
Isn't that back though when like microfiber stuff was first coming out and it was like really popular?
Yeah, it was kind of in the middle of its popularity, but at the same time, they were still cheap. They weren't as cheap as you can get them now. I think you could probably get like 20 or 30 of them for $10, $15 back then. They've since gotten a whole lot cheaper. But that's the thing, is somebody looks at that and says, okay, well, I can get 50 of these for $10. You're gouging me. It's like, no. Yeah. I'm not gouging you. I am getting gouged because I paid $7.50 for this single microfiber towel, and to make any kind of a reasonable markup, paying $7.50 for it, we should have been selling them for $15 to $20. But we're like, we're never going to get away with selling a microfiber towel for $15 or $20. That's ridiculous. So we're going to kind of take it in the shorts and not make a whole lot of profit on this. But still, selling them for $13 was still kind of ridiculous because it's a single microfiber towel that there's nothing special about, anything. So, yeah,
that's just an example though. Accessories, and pro shops make good money on accessories like tapes and shoe covers and things like that.
Yeah, tapes are okay. Generally, the smaller item stuff are okay. Yeah. And then grips are $1 a piece. If you buy them in super bulk straight from the companies, you can probably get them for 50, 60. So I don't know about that. I just know what you pay from distributors. Grips are $1 a piece. They get installed for $5 or $6. And, part of that is the experience of the person putting them in. Because I remember when I worked for Blue Dot, I did heating and air and this is one of those things that people don't really understand. They see product cost versus what they pay for the product. And they don't see all the other stuff around it. They don't see the employee price. They don't see the overhead. They don't see business costs. They don't see tax. They don't see anything. All they see is, well, you paid $5 for this item and you're selling it to me for $20. You're ripping me off. It's like, okay, well, I pay $5 for the product. And then there is rent, there's lights, there's electricity, there's heating and air, there's gas, there's employee, there's all kinds of this other stuff that makes this item significantly more expensive than just what that item costs the business to purchase.
Right.
So one of the most common things that I would fix in air conditioners is capacitors. They're basically little motor starters. They look like a little 12-ounce pop can, basically, and they're just charged, and so they are, again, they're little motor starters, basically.
Yeah.
And so back when I was working for them, the regular service charge to just go out and diagnose was $100. And then for most, the capacitor, depending on the size and the charge, whatever, they range from like $50 to $75. I'm sure that they're significantly more expensive. But if I went out and fixed a capacitor, most of the time the charge would be $150. Now that capacitor, the part itself, only cost $8 to $10.
Yeah.
But people don't know that, and so I've had some other people mention it's like, well, it'd be a whole lot better if they would be transparent with their numbers, what they're paying for things versus what they're selling for. But nobody does that. You can't walk into Walmart and say, okay, well, I see that you're selling this for this price, but what did you pay for it so I can know whether I'm getting ripped off or not? That doesn't happen, because people that are not in business don't understand all the extra associated things that go along with it. Or you can watch something like Restaurant Impossible, where John Taffer is talking about if your food cost is over 30%. So basically what it means is if you pay $3, or if a meal that you're selling for $9 costs you more than $3 to produce, you're going to go out of business. So right there tells you that things have to be significantly marked up to absorb not only the cost of the product, but the cost of all the resources and everything that it takes to get you that product. But so basically what would happen is if I went out and fixed a capacitor, it would be $150 charge to spend 2 minutes replacing 5 minutes by the time I look and see what part I need and walk back to the truck and bring it back out. $150 for a 5-minute job to replace a $10 part, basically. But they're not factoring in that by the time we get the call, I drive out there, I diagnose, I drive back somewhere else. It's probably about an hour's worth of time. So that's an hour's worth of salary for me. You've got the trucks, you've got this, you've got that, you've got whatever else, you've got the part itself, whatever else. And so by the time you add all this stuff up, that service is that service trip probably cost the company $50 or more to deliver that service to you. And that's, again, 33% cost versus what their return is. And people just don't realize how expensive it is to run a business.
Especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
because inflation.
Yeah. Audio Quest cables at a high-end home theater store, $2,500 HDMI cable.
Get them while they're hot, yeah.
Stay hot.
$2,500
ball cleaner. Make your own Big Mac meal. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. A lot of times, and this is something that people don't know. Like if you order through McDonald's, instead of paying $3 or $4 for fries, any size of fries is $1. So yeah, if you use the app rather than ordering at the window or whatever, you can get pretty decent deals. But it's actually really easy. You just pick the store that you're going to. You can even sit in the parking lot and order. Yep. And then you get your order number and you just go through the drive-through and say, I'm here for order number such and such. And
You're paid and done, and you get reward points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've done that quite a bit. Time to get a job, gas price, item price, time, secretary, paper, etc. Yeah.
Because when you start adding things up, people will complain about. It's like, well, I go to get a ball drilled if I buy it online, and then it's like $50 to drill it, and then it's $10 for inserts and $20 for my interchangeable thumb. When the inserts cost $1 a piece, and the interchangeable thumbs are more expensive than people think they are, because you buy your own Jopo sleeves, and what are those, like $10 a piece or something? Or the Jopo slugs are more expensive than the sleeves.
See, I have no idea. I use Turbo.
Or okay, so yeah, the Turbo. The Turbo ones are still pretty expensive. They're like $6.50 a piece, $7.
I think I pay like $8 a piece for them.
Okay, yeah. So those sleeves are not nearly as cheap now. It is probably
they used to not be that much. They were cheaper than that at one point.
Yeah, I remember that we used to pay. Well, because I can remember when I was at the shop, slugs were like $2.50 or $3 a piece, and the sleeves for the Turbo stuff was $4 or $5. But that's and so the sleeves themselves are $8. Like you said, the Jopo sleeves are even more. I think the Jopo sleeves, if you buy your own, are $10 a piece.
That wouldn't shock me. Nothing against them. That wouldn't shock me.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a good product.
You're thinking, it's like, okay, well, I take a ball into a shop and I'm paying $50 for somebody to take 15 minutes, or I'm paying $70. Let's just call it $80 for inserts, interchangeable, the whole thing. Let's say $80 to drill a bowling ball, to take 15 minutes drilling a bowling ball. Well, number one, the expertise is what makes the time short. It's like, okay, if you want to really feel like you're getting your money's worth, I can take my time doing it. You can just come back tomorrow. Part of the payment is in the convenience. I can do it right now, and I can get you out of here in 15 minutes. And it's like, well, gosh, it just seems like an awful lot of money for taking 15 minutes to put holes in a bowling ball. It's like, well, I can make it take longer if that's what you're concerned about. But
yeah, I mean, we can take as much time as you want.
My drill press was $10,000, which if you're in a decently high, you can get drill press. You can get good solid drill presses for less than that. $5,750, whatever else. But if you're in a busier pro shop, you want the top of the line models that can, that they're super precise and can do the good stuff. And so that's what I used, and so that's what I got. Drill press is $10,000, and then the set of bits run anywhere from $50 to $125, I believe, depending on the size and what you get. I think the Turbo bit, what was that, like $150?
$220? No, it was like $220.
So I can even look this up.
I got it off. I can never pronounce their name. Gearbarts. How do you?
Yep, Gebhardts.
Gebhardts. Yeah, I got it off there. I want to say it was $220. It may not be the same price now, but.
Bowler's Mark. Jopo 1.5 drill bit with stopper, $300.
Oh, what's the Turbo one?
It doesn't have. Apparently, they don't sell the drill. But the 1.5-inch bit, it's the same thing for basically everything. I think the bit, the stoppers, the drill bit's a little bit longer, and the stopper is a different place. But for the bits, so that's $300 for one single drill bit. And through Jayhawk, most of the standard drill bits are like $50, but they go up to $125, $150 depending on the size. They cost $10 a bit to sharpen, and so you're talking about $10,000.
That's not terrible, though.
No, it's really not. But a set of, especially not, sharpening, $10 to sharpen. That's fine. I do that all day long. But it takes 40 to 45, depending on how many extra bits you have, because they do have oversized inch. So like the finger insert grit, or the finger insert bit, is a 31/32. That's going to be a higher use bit. The 1.25 is for most of the interchangeable, or for some of the interchangeable systems, and for most slugs, or the most popular size of slug is 1.25. They do have oversized 1.25 bits, which are, instead of being 1.25, they're 1.255. So they're slightly bigger, because sometimes the urethane slugs are the inch and a half or the inch and a quarter really tight, getting them in there. So the oversized just makes them slide in a little bit easier without them getting stopped or bound up or whatever else. But a full bit set is 40 to 45 bits at least $50 a piece. If you buy the full set of bits, it's $2,000 to $2,500. And then, drilling a ball, I could teach a monkey how to put holes in a ball in 30 minutes. It's not hard, but actually knowing and understanding layouts, knowing and understanding ball reaction, knowing your way around a drill press, being able to fit someone well, doing all this stuff is years and years worth of experience to be able to do it well. Yeah. And so when you're talking $10,000 drill press, $2,500 worth of bits, a couple bucks for the grips, $10 for the sleeve, and years worth of experience, $80 all of a sudden doesn't sound, it's still a lot of money. And this is the thing that I don't disagree with at all, is that bowling is extremely expensive. It's inherently an expensive sport. Yes, I don't believe outside of a few things that anybody is getting price gouged on specific items. If anything, the bowling industry is a little below norms for, if you go into, like John Lander was saying about going into Walmart and most of their stuff's marked up 500%. It's like, generally smaller ticket items are marked up more than bigger ticket items, because when you're already when something already costs that much money, you're going to make a whole lot more money on a finger insert than you're going to make on a bowling ball, just because they're already expensive to begin with. And at a certain point, you kind of price yourself out of the market. I don't think that anybody's getting gouged on prices. Where the thing is coming is in volume. The amount of bowling balls that these companies are producing now, I think they got a little too aggressive, a little too happy, and there's too much stuff hitting the market. Because they're like, okay, well, people are buying stuff, and now they're getting tired of stuff faster and faster. They want more variety. They want more diversity. And so you offer more products. I think they took it a little too far, though. And the market is starting to respond to it. It's like, okay, not only is the volume increasing, the price is increasing too. And most of the prices, I think, are just a result of natural inflation. But there's too much stuff out there now, and bowling balls, even if you made them cheaper, which if you talk to any pro shops, it's like, okay, I'm definitely not making any kind of money, because bowling is a labor of love, not a labor of making money. Right. If the bowling industry made so much money, you would see a lot more people running bowling centers and a lot more people running pro shops. Instead, people are overwhelmingly getting out of them because they can't make any money.
Right. So, I lost train of thought. What I was going to say, when you're talking about, gosh, I'll have to circle back to it. I totally just lost train of thought.
No, I got
it was on par at you're fine. It was on par at what you were just saying before you stopped talking. I'll circle back to it. No, you weren't just rambling. You're fine. I'm listening. I couldn't remember what it was, though.
Let's see. Yeah. My PSO runs out of his garage and basement to keep costs low for people. My rent's terrifying. Yeah, that's another thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure New York rent is terrifying.
Well, and that's part of what killed the mall here too, is that like rent was $2,000, $2,500 a month for some of those little tiny units in the mall here. And so, our mall kind of sucked anyway.
Yeah.
And so most people drove to Kansas City to get mall stuff. But again, it's like some of these businesses just can't, by the time you pay all the business fees and the rent and the whatever else, and a lot of the time the rent didn't include like the utilities. And so it's like, well, it's rent and then your utilities are on you. People just don't understand.
No, people don't.
Yeah, the land building is where the value's at in a bowling center. Yeah, because that's what they wanted to do when Rex closed Gage North. He had offers to buy, but they wanted to buy both North and Center, and they wanted to turn Gage Center into a parking lot because it had more value as a parking lot than it did as a bowling center.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to keep Gage North open as a...
No, they wanted to close Gage North because it was either Rex didn't want to sell just one of them because people wanted, well, actually the golf course up there wanted to buy Gage North and turn it into and make the golf course bigger because they ended up having to cut that little section out.
Yeah.
They wanted to buy that whole property so that they could, have that for the golf course. And he said, well, I'm not going to sell. He's like, I'm not going to sell one center and be stuck with the other one. He's like, I'm either in or I'm out. And so they said, and so he wouldn't sell them separately. And of course, the golf course didn't want to have anything to do with Gage Center. And so they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just build around it or whatever. And then when it was time to close Gage North, because it was going to cost $80,000 to fix the roof, when it was time to close that, he got offers for the center, but it was the same way. It's like, well, if you want one, you got to buy both. And he did get offers for both, but they didn't. But another one of his stipulations is, okay, well, Gage North, it's got problems. If it's got to close, it's got to close. But he wasn't going to let Topeka be down 2 bowling centers when Gage Center was doing perfectly fine at that time. And he wasn't going to let them bulldoze the center and turn it into a parking lot. That's not what he wanted his bowling legacy to be. He didn't want that to happen to the city or the bowling community, the city, whatever else. And so he did not sell. He could have sold and he could have made some money, but they were going to turn it into a parking lot.
Now that he made that decision, I am stuck bowling there on Tuesday nights.
Yeah. So yeah. Damn you. The shithole could have been a parking lot.
Bring out the bulldozer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I'm really mad.
Back up the truck.
Because I didn't realize that story. Shit, it could have been a damn parking lot. So our mall has new owners now too. So
yeah, and they were working on something. Last I heard, things were not going so well. So there's still some things happening down at the mall, but they were supposed to kind of revitalize everything and change a whole bunch of stuff. And as far as I've heard, that has not really happened to the degree.
Not yet. They have they just got drawings done and plans. They have an out-of-state contractor that's working on that stuff for them. They're adding a brewery and stuff in there too.
Okay, so they're still working on it, but it's just nothing has really happened yet.
Yes. Yeah, and then the game plan is for Advisors Excel to close both their locations and they move into the mall at some point too. So at least our mall is now owned by local people, and it's not like a lot of those malls are chains and they're owned by, random companies that are around the United States. Ours is now local, and they're starting to do more stuff in there. So they're slowly getting businesses in there. They've got a tattoo parlor in there now, of all things in a mall. So, and then still have the existing random stores. Like I'm sure there's a Spencer's in there still. Mm-hmm. We have a pet store and all that in there, but
yeah. So this is one of the things where they're kind of trapped, because if you make an interchangeable system, if you have to go in there and pay $25 for the slug and $25 for the sleeve, you're not going to find a lot of people that are going to do that. Or if they do that, they're going to stretch it out as far as they can stretch it out, because that's freaking expensive. But at the same time, the cost is so much that if the bowling alley, if the pro shop doesn't sell them for $20 or $25, there's really, it's just a whole bunch of work for not a whole lot in return. Because if they made just say that instead of 2025, say that there's like, okay, well, this stuff's expensive, we're trying to help the customer, we'll do the interchangeables for $15. Well, then they're making $5 a piece. And so when you have somebody that somebody uses slugs, they want to switch to Jopos, and so you install the Jopo stuff, and you're only making like 5 or so. You drill them, you put sleeves in 10 different balls, and you drill them 2 slugs. Maybe you're only making $5 a ball on each ball, and so what's going to happen is, to do that, you're going to spend a couple hours putting sleeves in 10 different balls, and then drilling the two slugs, cutting them off, making sure cleaning everything up, making sure everything fits fine. You're going to make $60 on that transaction, where you're going to spend. So you're going to spend 120. So it's $10, and then I think the slugs are actually even more expensive. I think they're closer to 15. So you're going to spend $100, $120, maybe $130 on just the product. That's just going to be your cost to do this. And you're going to get back 150, 100, so just say, call it 100, 180 is what you're going to get back for 10 sleeves. So you're going to spend all this time and have all this cost and get $60 out of the deal for 2 hours worth of work. That will not keep the lights on. It just won't. You know?
It's true. It's a good point. Did you want to get into a little bit on the drama and discussion about ball reviews and content creators?
Yeah, because it kind of goes along with the same way. Because again, the Big Mike and Luis have had this feud for the last couple of years. Because Mike called him out, and then here recently, Luis chirped back at him, and I don't want to offer any.
No,
I don't want to get into the drama and put my foot in there. I'm just going to say this is a thing that happened, but it does reflect a larger. I can't take Joe Post seriously.
Okay, that's okay. I see what you did there. Don't make me start coughing. Oh shoot!
So now this is one of those things.
There goes monetization.
I need to pull this up. Come on. Because this is one thing I've been making kind of on the side videos about different things. I made a video recently about if brand loyalty was good or bad. I've done a whole lot of little instructional things. I talk about what makes balls crack. I've got one coming on. Somebody suggested something and said, okay, so I'm bowling in league. I brought 3 balls with me. They all look good in practice. Which ball do I pick? I've got a video coming on that. And I had one that I did on honesty in ball videos. Because when I started doing this 10 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff out there. And I just did it to help the people in the pro shop because people would come in and say, okay, well, I'm interested in this ball. But there's only like 2 or 3 videos out on it. And it's 500 rev rates, hooking the whole lane, set to rock music. I can't tell what the damn ball's doing. And so I had gotten on staff because I got into a pro shop, and I thought, okay, well, I'll make videos for the balls that I drill. And that's why the channel is just my name, because I was making it easy for my customers to find me. So I'd hand out my business card. And it's like, okay, well, just type my name into YouTube and you'll find my videos. And we had a TV in the pro shop. And so every once in a while I'd play stuff. And then because there wasn't a whole lot of other stuff out there, wasn't a whole lot of good stuff, there wasn't any playing with algorithms or special keywords or fancy thumbnails or clickbait or anything else. It's like I just had to put up Storm Optimus Solid review with a picture of the ball. And that's all that it took. And because there was only 4 or 5 other people making videos at the time, they could pretty quickly skim through those and see, okay, well, I like this guy because he explains ball reaction. I don't like this guy because it's just hooking the whole lane set to rock music. It's very simple back then.
Sir, that's how you get cheap views, by the way.
Yeah.
Just turn yourself on in the pro shop and just let it replay over and over again.
Yeah. That's all I
see what you did there.
Turn the playlist on and hi Skeeter.
That's how his numbers got up there. Hi, now Skeeter. We know.
Oh, Mama taking you outside. You go outside. You go potty. Bye.
But the way you started with the idea and you started the channel is a good idea. I mean, now people are getting into it, and we discussed this earlier. Mm-hmm. Now people are getting into it to try and become bowling famous, thinking it's going to get them somewhere, or I don't really know what you're looking for when you want to get that to that level. But that's exactly what 90% of the people do now. There's some good ones out there now, though. Charles Hutcherson with the hype is good. Yeah. There is Luis. So some people, if you like Luis's stuff, Luis still makes a lot of content. Obviously, the OG Luke. Outside of that, I don't know a ton of stuff.
Yeah, they're all over the place. You've got Paradise Ball reviews. He generally does a pretty good job. You had some other stuff like Free Agent Bowler that was pretty good. He hasn't done a whole lot of stuff here recently. You've got JR Pro Shop.
Oh, yeah. J.R. Raymond. I forget about J.R. Raymond.
Some of the bigger ones like J.R. Raymond, Darren Tang, Packy, Brad and Kyle have been doing stuff. But Brad and Kyle were kind of the first ones to break it open beyond because there for a while, it's like everybody just wanted to see ball reviews. They were hyped about the next big thing coming. They just wanted to see ball reviews. They'd say, oh, I'd love to see a video on this or an instructional video on this. And then I'd spend a bunch of time making it and nobody would watch it. And so I'm like, okay, well, ball reviews get the views. That's where I've got to put my time, and that's where I got to put my attention. And the other thing is if you want as a, and I hate being called a ball reviewer or a content creator, but honestly, that's what I am. I really can't shake. I review bowling balls and I create content. So that's not what I got into it for, but it's got a whole lot worse connotation now than it did then. And I review bowling balls and I create content. So that's whether I like it or not, or like the connotation,
Tamer came out to bowl the KCO with us one year.
Yeah,
I think he bowled on my team.
Yeah, he bowled with us one year, and I actually bowled a BJ squad with him in Syracuse at Nationals, which was pretty cool. He's still making videos. Jason Eubanks, Hit It Harder, coolest theme song in bowling.
He's famous for lofting the ball at Nationals and getting disqualified.
Man, he gets a paw full.
He elbows a lot of it, though. A lot of elbow there.
Yeah, so when I was doing it, it was mainly me and Tamer is what it was. It was mainly me and him. Brunsnick was doing some things. He was one of the first that was putting ball reviews out there, but it was 10 years ago. Doesn't seem like it was a long time ago, but if you go find bowling videos from 10 years ago, it feels like you're stepping back into 1995.
No, it does.
It's hilarious. They're still putting up videos in standard quality, like 480p and stuff like this. It's all grainy. It's letterbox. It's square. It's wild.
That's how Brad and Kyle's first vlog looked.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could tell they recorded it all on their cell phones.
Well, that's the other thing. Because I started a little bit earlier than them, and there for a while we were kind of neck and neck with our subscribers, and of course they hit traction and they took off doing a very different kind of content. They started doing vlogs and they started doing life on the tour and stuff that really really connected with people. But you get bigger, and at some certain point, like I thought, okay, well, people are just my customers are gonna watch the reviews, and so I'd put out a video and I'd get 100 views, 200 views, whatever else. But then it was very short, and a couple of them like 1,000 views or 1,500 views. And I'm like, I don't have this many. And it just, for some reason, I'm putting out videos publicly on YouTube, and I just had the intent that I was putting them out there for my customers. I thought that it's like, okay, well, people actually have to search these a little bit harder. They have to know what they're actually looking for to find this stuff. And it's like, well, not really. If you put it out and people catch on to it, and then YouTube puts it here, puts it on somebody's homepage or whatever else, and they check it out, eventually it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a lot more people that are watching these than just the people from Topeka or the surrounding area. And so it's like, okay, well, you step it up a little bit if other people are watching. And then, of course, you want to, okay, well, camera doesn't look too good, so I want to upgrade the camera. I want to upgrade this. And then, we'll get 5,000 views on a review. And then all of a sudden, people expect you to do reviews for every ball. And at that point, I was just I was not making very much money. I was working in a pro shop, and I'm like, I really can't afford to buy everything. They kind of want you to buy everything if you're on staff. But eventually it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, this is going somewhere. I need to invest in this. I need to put some stuff into it. Then it gets more expensive and more time consuming, but then you have more requirements from you as far as quality goes. And then you start thinking, it's like, okay, well, more people they see that reviews are getting 5,000 views, 10,000 views. And it's like, okay, well, I want to get into that too. So then you have other people that are doing new and interesting things that have higher quality. They put more sensational titles out there. They put more eye-catching thumbnails out there. Then you start leaning into clickbait, because all of a sudden you're not just putting out a ball review and competing with nobody. You're not just getting views. You're actually competing with people. And so then you have to make everything look brighter and more interesting and more exciting, because you can put out the best video out there, but if nobody clicks on the video, it's kind of worthless. So you have to make the product, or you have to make it look enticing to get people to click on it in the first place, to find out that there is value there. And so then that's when you start getting into, okay, I got to spice the titles up. I've got to make the thumbnails look better. I've got to figure out keywords and what people are searching for. And then you have to spice up the actual videos to get people to not only click, but then keep watching. And at some certain point, you kind of have to play the game. You have to jump through a certain amount of hoops just to get people to keep watching what you have spent the money on and you've spent the time on and whatever else. And so one thing that I kind of start with here is that in this video that I did, it ended up more bitchy than I wanted it to be. It wasn't something, I didn't want to set it up where I was complaining. I was just trying to explain to people why this happens. But product reviews have existed since the creation of products. I mean, if you have a product out there, and especially today's, there's a million different. So if you go to buy a lawnmower, you go to buy a smoker, you go to buy this, you go to buy that. There's a million different versions out there, and so naturally you want to go look up reviews and say, okay, well, what is the quality of this product that I'm going to spend bowling balls $200 or $300 on? So if ball reviews didn't exist, people would bitch about it's like, well, I'm just going in blind. They don't have enough ball demos out here, and nobody's making any videos. I can't tell what I'm buying and whatever else. And so people would bitch if they weren't there. But instead they bitch about it's like, well, it's just all this clickbait nonsense, and everybody's telling me it's the next best ball ever, or this ball hooks the most, or it's a staple in their arsenal, or all this other kind of nonsense. I
mean, that happens with non-staffers that actually post that crap.
Mm-hmm.
You get staffers that go out there and post that stuff all the time. The must-have ball in your bag. People even read that crap too. It doesn't have to be content creators.
Yeah, and this is the other thing too that really gets me. It's like, okay, well, you say that you hate clickbait, you say that you hate the sensational titles, but people use them because they work. If they didn't work, people wouldn't use them. And so people see best ball on the market, they're going to click on that. If they see strongest hooking ball on the market, they're going to click on it. If they see strongest back end on the market, they're going to click on it. And so that's why people do it.
And then you've also got to trick the algorithms a little bit too, though. So
yeah, because again, engagement's a big deal. It doesn't really, people are fishing for likes and subscriptions and turning your notifications on and whatever else. YouTube doesn't care whether it's a like or dislike. It sees it all the same. It's engagement. If you because
speaking of that, hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Thank you.
Yeah, I would prefer like. It's all the same though.
Please don't dislike us.
Yeah, honestly. But if it creates it, it's like they say there's no such thing as bad. What is the saying? It's like there's no such thing as bad attention or something like that. Where it's like bad press. There's no such thing as bad press. Yeah, bad publicity. There's no such thing, because either way or the other, you're getting people's attention. You're getting their focus. It's like these stupid articles that you scroll across on Facebook, and it's like, oh, this looks interesting. It's a slideshow of, all the movies that this actor's done, but all you do is you click on it and you see it's just one page of some nonsensical crap filled with ads that are so all over the place that you can't even navigate them and read what you're actually trying to read. Yeah, I would 100% watch the biggest piece of crap ball ever, and that's not to single him out, but Louis and I've done this before. You have tier lists and say, okay, well, this is, let me rank the balls, and I'm going to do one. I'm going to rank I do the sport essential stuff, but it's also, okay, well, ranking the 2024 releases so far, and I'm going to get 10 to 15,000 views on it for just sitting there and giving my opinion on what I think the best balls of the year have been. And, opinions all subjective, but that's the kind of stuff that people click on. That's the kind of stuff that people want to watch. They want,
I'm going to be that guy because I'm on a YouTube show live, but don't hate me. The MV Tour is the best ball ever made. Now let's make a video title out of that. Go.
And see if you can actually back it up. And that's the thing that I feel like I've done is I built a reputation to where I'm going to give it to people straight. But again, opinion is relative. because the NV Tour is not very good for me. The ball that was what is the one that I the Theorem is nasty, or the ball that ended up being better for me than the NV Tour was the GB5.
The GB5, and that makes sense though. I could see that. That makes sense.
The NV Tour was just a little too early and a little too slow. It kind of put the ball reaction in the wrong place. The GB5 was a little cleaner and a little sharper, and so that it shapes like the NV Tour. It just worked quite a bit better for me. So just because I really like something, I really like the Summit, and that was really kind of hit or miss for people. And I still kind of can't understand it. I can't understand it. But just because I like a ball or say it's good doesn't mean that it's going to work out for somebody else. And so what you really need to do is just stick to, I'm just going to describe what the ball does. I'm going to show you what it does. And then you have to make your own decision. I can't, and all this other stuff is what layout, what surface, that's all subjective. That's all going to be your conditions, your area, your game. It's going to vary from person to person. So you have to talk about that stuff with your pro shop. But yeah, I
will say, while you're on that topic, while you're thinking of it, more and more ball review videos, or just bowling videos in general, you're noticing guys are actually doing more talking communication with a microphone, like just a mic on, than they were previously. I think you're getting less of the rock music and no commentary, and just seeing shots go down the lane, putting your specs up, and then boom, throw on a 2-minute video up and calling it good for cheap views. Now, your staffers that are looking for their quick little incentive money, yeah, most of them are going to put up a 2-minute video and put that stuff. But the guys that actually give a crap are actually putting the work in and doing talking. Like, you do voiceover more than anything. I know, like Jesse, you have Jesse do mic stuff when he does his reviews, right? Like Charles Hutcherson, for example. I know I name dropped him earlier, but he's a good example of a guy that talks through shots. J.R. Raymond does the same thing. Yeah. It is nice to have the guys that actually will talk through shots and go, okay, I actually just threw that one like pure shit. So don't let that reflect the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Well, and see, that's the thing is I tried to do, and so what I'm doing now is kind of like a hybrid version of that. I built my channel off of reviewing storm bowling balls and some associated coaching videos or some instructional stuff. I have a lot of stuff. I have a classroom series that I've got a couple dozen entries into and whatever else. But I built it on the Storm brand reviews, and the voiceovers, because there's a lot of people out there that's like, well, I don't really like the live commentary stuff because while you're getting feedback on the individual shots, they don't feel like there's as much actual analysis or information. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to throw the ball and I'm going to kind of tell you what it's doing right now, but there's not a whole lot of other analysis behind it. The problem is that when you're doing a voiceover, sure, I can have a whole lot. I can make sure that I say exactly what I want to say. I can have more information. It can be more structured, but you lose the shot-to-shot commentary on. It's very hard to tell on a video whether somebody threw it too fast, whether they threw it too slow, got around it, up the back of it, jacked the rev rate, missed it a little bit. So I think that you kind of need both. And so that's what I've been trying to do with my videos recently, because I tried to do the voiceover stuff and people are like, yeah, I really don't like that. I watch you because you do the voiceovers. I like the voiceovers. And so that's that. So what I did is I do the voiceover reviews first, and I have like 2 or 3 minutes of outtakes at the end of the video where we're mic'd up and kind of making commentary, giving commentary on the ball reaction while we're kind of in the moment. It's like, oh yeah, I threw that one out the window, or yeah, I rolled my hand over the top of that, or that was a terrible shot. And so I'm trying to kind of do both, but at the same time, I'm not really participating in the clickbait and the fancy flashy stuff. I try to make my thumbnails look as attractive as possible. I try to put some fun titles up, but I don't do anything. I don't do anything like, is this the new strongest ball on the market? Is this is this is going to be a staple in my bag, or this is best ball of the year, or whatever. I don't do those kind of sensational clickbaity titles. And I have lost some ground, I think, to everybody else. Now, at the same time, I've been making videos for 10 years too, and I can't think of anybody that there's one single person one single YouTube channel that I have watched for the last 10 years, most of the time somebody sticks with a channel for a couple of years and they either get bored of the topic in general, they get bored of the person that presents it, they move on to something else that's fresher or from a different angle. And so generally 10 years for a YouTube channel is a really long time anyway. Most of the time they fall off at the 5 or 6 year mark. And so I think I've had kind of a long enough career, I guess, doing this in the first place. But to kind of review a little bit more of this, the ball reviews have to exist. They just have to, because they're basically just product reviews. So they have to be there.
Well, I mean, who's gonna go buy a bowling ball if they can't see what it actually does first?
Yeah, and so that's just the thing.
Well, nowadays. I mean, obviously that happened, 90s. I mean, let's be honest. But it's no different than going to buy a car. At least when you go buy a car, you can test drive it.
Yeah.
This one, you can at least, that's why demos exist, if you have the availability to go do demos. But ball review videos are huge for bowling. Huge.
Yeah. You do have to have them. So that's where we need to start. You can say that most of them are crap. You can say most of them are clickbait. You can say whatever you want to about the general quality of the ones that we have available now or what's all out there, because it is getting competitive. There's a lot of people making review videos and they have to do these sensational kind of clickbaity things to compete or to gain a footing. So even if you do have very high quality, honest, unbiased reviews, you still have to jump through the hoops to get people to see them in the first place. But they have to exist. So whatever you say about them, they have to exist. And one of my things is kind of like, well, I was talking to Kevin Anderson about this the other day, and I actually said something to him that I got to remember how I said it. So I'm kind of in the territory. I said, so what do I do in my current situation? Things are how they are. It's not changing. Equipment is part of the game, and teaching people about the equipment helps them spend their money wiser. So it's better to have somebody informed on their purchases so that they know what they're buying, so that they can more effectively spend their money, rather than buying something that's like, okay, well, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. So there's a $250 boat anchor, and now I have to go spend another $250 to try and see if I can get what I actually want this time. So some people are like, for some people, it's kind of like putting their money in one of those quarter machines where you get the little eggs that come out with it's like, okay, there's 10 different stickers in there. I really want this sticker. And so we're just going to feed quarters into this thing until I get the sticker I want. If you could instead say, hey, here's my quarter, I want that sticker, and have somebody give you the sticker, that's better.
Yeah.
It's not better for the company.
No.
Because they don't make as much money.
But another reason why ball reviews have to exist nowadays is because the cost of bowling, it's like we talked about earlier, the cost is going up so much that, you can take a risk on a ball when you're only spending 130 to get it punched up and you're done out the window. You know what I mean? Yeah. Out the door. But now we're looking at, I'm looking at some of the prices in these shops, and I understand it, but you're walking out of the door at $240, $250.
Yeah.
And that's possibly even just drilling a mid-range bowling ball.
Yeah.
Because of grips and slugs and everything else. They have to exist. Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. So it's like, I've always come at it from a pro shop angle. I don't see myself as a ball reviewer or a content creator. I see myself as a pro shop guy that makes videos about pro shoppy things. And so that's why I said, teaching people about the equipment helps them spend their money wiser. But I have also been accused like, well, yeah, you're just selling stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not my intent, but that is absolutely what I'm doing. I mean, I can say it's like, well, I'm not trying to sell people stuff. They're going to buy stuff anyway. I'm just trying to educate them on what they're buying so that they can make smarter purchases. But I absolutely cannot deny that I am actively promoting all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is not to promote the stuff, because I get absolutely zero from anybody buying anything anyway. I want you to watch my videos. What you do after that, I don't get any kickback or any feedback or anything as far as that's concerned.
Right.
So if people say, well, you're just trying to sell stuff for the company, it's like, well, I'm not getting anything in return. It's like, well, you're getting the bowling balls to make the videos. It's like, okay, well, I'm staring at like, 100 balls on shelves sitting here. I've got 30 balls with holes in them. I can't take all that stuff to league. And so once you already have more than enough stuff, it's like the extra stuff just doesn't get it done. It's like, I already have bowling balls that I like. I don't need more bowling balls.
Yeah.
At some certain point, it's like, okay, well, these things technically have value, but they don't really have value to me because I already have what I need. So
Correct.
continuing to get bowling ball, it's like, well, they have to send them to me to do the review. And so if some of them suck, or some of them I don't like or can't use, not as bowling balls don't really suck anymore. There's some that are not quite as generally as versatile as others, but
there's some really bad ones out there.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, occasionally they put out some that are not so good, and I call them out, like the TNT, or like the
Paragon.
The Reactogloss stuff for a while. I was extremely vocal about that and put myself in extreme jeopardy complaining about something repeatedly. You can go back and look at my Night Road video. You can look at my TNT video. You can look at my DNA video. You can look at all kinds of stuff and see it's like, okay, well, yeah, he was actually putting the screws to this stuff and telling us what was up. Every single video I told people for a while, it's like, if the ball sucks out of the box, resurface it, because Reactogloss and Reactogloss contamination is a real thing. I told people that in every single video.
I genuinely think my Paragon, though, there's something wrong with it. So
Yeah.
I do.
It looks kind of bad.
I mean, there you go. Jonathan Tiffany to the win. Zen Master.
Mm-hmm.
Zen Master. The ball's terrible.
I actually got in trouble for my Zen Master takes. Somebody called me out in the staff group and got extremely angry with me over me saying in a video that the Zen Master belonged in a dumpster. I literally said that in a video. So if people want to try to say, well, you're just trying to hawk stuff, it's like, okay, I get absolutely nothing in return but the balls to make the videos with. And most of them I don't end up throwing because I keep getting more bowling balls faster and faster. Some of them look fine, but they don't end up fitting for me, or I don't end up throwing them. And so, I can only take 4 or 5 balls to league at a time. I don't want to take more than that to begin with.
I take 6, yeah.
But at some certain point, it's like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of value there for me beyond being fed the equipment that I can make the videos with to get the views, to get some ad revenue, to get some people to sign up for the memberships and Patreon and whatever else. So don't get me wrong. It's like, it's not that there's no value or that there's zero value. There's just a whole lot less value than people think there is.
Didn't we also get in trouble for a video? Another ball, was it the Night Road?
Oh yeah, I got in trouble for that one, and there were chains of emails.
The Night Road was the one that we absolutely shit on the show.
Yeah, I got in trouble for all the memes that were in my group that I wasn't even posting. It just, everybody's posting all these Night Road Night Road memes in your channel, and something needs to happen here. And so I did get in trouble for that one.
You should have just said my name's attached to it, Jonathan wrote. Mm-hmm. That's what you should have said.
And it's not like they were. It's not like they were angry at me for telling the truth. I don't want to put that out there because it was more or less, okay, well, we need to redirect this in a better direction. If there are problems, we need to get these figured out so that we can stop the problems. They sent me replacement balls. I sent some of the balls back to HQ. I was in contact with them pretty frequently because every single ball I got, it's like, okay, well, this thing's a frickin' marble. Like my ice outhooked my DNA.
Wasn't that the first Reactogloss ball?
The Night Road wasn't. The Phase 5 was.
That's right.
The Reactogloss was contaminating all the solid stuff too, and so the TNTs went straight as an arrow. The DNAs, I'd never seen a ball go straighter in my life. I could have used that ball with whatever. It came sanded, but it did nothing. And they're like, well, it could be burning up or whatever. It's like, yeah, but I resurfaced it and it hooked off the planet. So it definitely was not burning up out of the box because I ended up with a more aggressive surface on it when I resurfaced it, and it looked really good.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan, there was some savage memes that went through over that Night Road. Mm-hmm. We literally, on that show that night, we had that was actually one of the most funs we've ever had on this show. We absolutely
Oh my
shit
God.
on that ball.
The Night Road memes. Yeah, the Night Road memes were amazing.
Which
They were
where has
amazing.
everybody been with our memes lately? We need memes.
Yeah,
Get them in
well,
the channel or get them in the Facebook group. We need memes.
we keep getting in trouble for stuff,
I know.
and that's the thing is I don't. But
Like, people get mad at us for saying something all the time. It never fails.
yeah, but
We're not controversial, I promise.
yeah. So to put a bow on this and not try to whatever else, I've already kind of talked about, well, the clickbait exists because people are trying to be competitive, and it doesn't matter how good of a video you make. If you can't get people to click on it, doesn't matter. So that's why people kind of lean into it because it works. And it's like, well, I've spent a lot of time. I spent money producing these videos. I want people to watch them. And I've had people straight up tell me before, it's like, yeah, I can't stand the clickbait stuff either, but I can't get people to click on a video if I don't do it. So it's like, I'm not really doing anything different than anybody else is doing. It's just I have to do this stuff to get people to click on the video in the first place. I don't want to, but I have to jump through the hoops.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what I told Kevin, it's kind of like, so things are, people can say, okay, well, equipment's way too big of a deal. All these ball reviews are doing nothing but just pushing this equipment and whatever else. It's like, okay, well, people are going to buy bowling balls regardless because equipment's a huge part of the game. I don't mean to over promote the balls or make them sound like they're better than they actually are. But if you're going to be buying the product anyway, I'm just trying to educate people on the product so that they can spend their money better.
Yeah, no.
However, intentional or unintentional, I'm still marketing the product. I'm still promoting the product. I'm still advertising the product. It's still out there in people's faces. But if I quit, then there's one person less, one fewer person, or one person less trying to help people out. So you can say, okay, well, I don't care if you're trying to help people out or not. You're part of the problem because you're promoting the equipment. It's like, okay, well, then I'll quit. And it's like, well, but then there's one fewer honest reviewer out there that's trying to educate people. It's like, we can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
So I'm a shill if I keep making videos, but I'm turning my back on the industry if I leave. Or I'm turning my back on people if I leave, or I'm just taking the easy way out or whatever else. And it's like, well, you got to make up your mind. At some certain point, what am I supposed to do here?
The one thing I've always loved about you and your reviews is you're honest on each ball. You literally say what you think of the bowling ball instead of, and this, I'm not going to call anybody out, but I know there's multiple other ball reviewers out there. One I know specifically that every review is, man, this thing is so good. This ball is so good, so great, only to turn around and shit on it later. So there's a lot of them that are out there that throw it out there to tell you how good it is to get you to try and buy it, and then they tell you how they really feel on the side.
Well, and a lot of the staffers feel like, and that was always the thing. It's like, okay, well, I generally feel like you're honest, but at the same time, you're still a staffer, so I just can't trust you.
Yeah,
I couldn't blame people for that. I'm like, well, I am trying to be honest. Another thing is that, people may say that they're honest, but that doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. They'll put out, oh, well, this is an honest, unbiased ball review, and then I watch it, and I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
So you're being honest, but you're honestly an idiot. So yes. That's honesty. Saying honest, unbiased ball review is also clickbait.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a tactic that you're using to try to get people to watch your video.
Correct. Big Bowler. Charles Hutcherson's actually doing swag bowling ball reviews.
Yeah.
Jared Raymond does swag bowling ball reviews.
Yeah.
So, did you have any more points you want to touch on that? Because I was going to bring some up.
Yeah, bring it up. We can circle back around to it if we need to, but I think we've talked about it for a while.
Sorry, we only got about 15 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
You and I got KCO this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So a lot of our Discord people, Luke's Discord people, but we're all in there. So our Discord people.
It's our group, and I've said this to just interrupt for a second. I've said this before, but it's like I'm happy to be the catalyst for it, but it's our community.
Yeah.
So everybody plays a part, and everybody's important, and just because I'm the one that kind of, got the group together. The group is the group.
Yeah. So we've got that coming up. It's a fun weekend. We always look forward to. So we'll be able to come back. Actually, by the time we come back, so let's see here. Are we bowl this weekend? We don't have a show next week. Yeah. So by the time we come back, Luke and I actually are bowling one of the best tournaments in the country too.
It'll be the Monday after Swiss.
Yeah, Monday after Swiss Trios, which is one of the best tournaments in the country. We bowl against some of the best bowlers in the world. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you've got Kevin Williams, Prather shows up, Packy's there, Nick Pate bowls. The list goes on. AJ Rice, Trevor Baumgartner, Ryan Barnes, TJ Rock. You just keep on going down the list. This tournament, and we bowl on a pattern, but the format is one of the most unique ones around there. I know that other tournaments do this similar of a pattern or a format, and it's and is a common thing, but this one is special, and we really enjoyed a bullet. So we'll have that to talk about on our next show, which I'm leaning towards just going to Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we'll be able to talk about that. Do you have the Swiss pattern handy to pop up to talk about real quick what you're thinking about bringing?
Yeah, I can hop on.
If you don't have it, I can send it to you.
Let me see how fast I can find it. It's on their Facebook page.
I might be able to Discord it to you real quick.
Oh yeah, if you can just go. If you can find it and send it to me, cool. We'll see.
I got it right here.
Okay. Yeah, I've also got it here. So I'll save it and pop it up. I'm good.
Sent.
Come on.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben. You can come here and say hi.
So yeah, so KCO, and also while I'm thinking about it, we do have a stream in the den. Where we're in the den at Aaron's on Friday night. I think we're going to be starting at 6-ish. I haven't scheduled the stream, and I need to make the thumbnail and schedule the stream. But we always have the whole group together, and we have a big practice session before the weekend. Of note, in the den at Aaron's, they have sanctioned string pins now. So we will be bowling on sanctioned string pins this Friday night in the den. So aside from just being a fun get-together session, a practice session, we always do some trick shots and some little contests there too. But we're going to be on certified string pins.
Sweet.
Ray.
Luke said hi. You can say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, bye.
You go eat dinner. Go.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Downloads. Turn on pattern. But yeah, Swiss trios, or say what you're going to say. Well,
so when we get this pulled up on the screen, I really want to know, should I drill a fresh NV Tour? Because I've got one hanging. I really think I need to drill a fresh NV Tour for this.
They used a bunch of different patterns before, but then they had Kegel actually design them a Swiss pattern that's good for the center, and I think it's one of these patterns that's not. It is technically sport compliant, but it felt like a very fair pattern. It's not super difficult. It's one that keeps you honest, but is definitely scoreable if you're making good shots, and I think that's the best place to be.
They get tricky though. They get tricky.
They do get tricky.
This is Luke saying this from the left side, okay? All right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. They
get tricky on the right side, all right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Should I put holes in a fresh NV Tour?
It's 44 feet and it's 29 mils.
Mine is beat up.
It is at North Rock, and so it's kind of medium friction. They're not like super high friction, but they're definitely some inherent friction in the lane beds themselves. So if not fresh cover, you're going to need 1,000, 2,000 grit on some stuff. I'm definitely I'm going to be in some urethane.
I can see Sensor Solid looking pretty good with 1,000 on it.
Yeah, this looks very similar to the Nationals doubles and singles pattern from this year. Yeah. And I'm just going to be throwing urethane. And most of the time, well, of course, the two-handers, Trevor's going to be throwing a purple hammer all weekend, probably. I'm probably going to be throwing a purple hammer all weekend. Kevin Williams is going to be throwing a purple hammer all weekend. And to kind of drive this point home, North Rock has 48 lanes. They normally have a max of 46 teams. So they have a breakdown pair if they need it.
Position round every game.
Breakdown pair. But
we should name the team breakdown pair.
Yeah, we could do this. It's kind of boring, but so other people have boring names.
What is our team name?
I was just shaving. My favorite though still has to be Hawes needs a step stool because the North Rock Pissers are so tall. Yeah, I've got to stand up tall for the urinals at North Rock. So
God, they're not as bad as Elite the East, but
yeah.
Hawes, you're going to be at Friday night at Aaron's. I will not be there. You won't see me until Saturday.
Yeah, so John, you're going to have to save him. You're going to have to save him some of that that smoked cheese from me.
He's my doubles partner. He better save me some.
So yeah, you're going to have to save some of that smoked cheese because I got a hold of that Gouda plate last year, and I just kind of camped out.
Goodness. But yeah, I've got to start thinking about bowls because I don't want to go crazy. I am going to take some microcell polymer for this. I don't want to. Should I throw a purple in the bag just to have one? Probably.
I would say so, at least for the first couple games.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a purple.
I'm drilling a fresh black 78 because I've got one that's got, and those things do not lane shine fast at all. But I use one. The one that I have, I'm using as my spare ball too, and it's kind of at like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 ish. And I kind of want to leave it there, but I do want a freshie to run two of them together. Yeah. And I do have two purple hammers drilled as well. I think one needs a reslug because I've changed my fit a handful of times, and I am drilling some fresh stuff. 2 years ago, when we bowled, I threw an idle Cosmos the entire time. I still have a case of Cosmoses, so I'm drilling one of those. I'm drilling a Kinetic Cobalt that I've been stashing away here. I might actually also drill my Obsession Tour, just kind of using, because I've got one of those that are hanging out. So I might just use this excuse to drill some stuff. That I also have a Pink Widow.
Oh, there you go.
Now that I'm looking at that one, I should probably put holes in that one. So
you don't think I should put holes in an Envy Tour Wednesday night when I come over there with Amanda?
If you've got one, it may not be a bad idea. Now
I have a fresh one, but I can order another one. Go ahead, say that again.
You've got that Sensor Solid that you haven't thrown a whole bunch yet.
Yep.
And that's in kind of similar territory. That might actually kind of mask as your. So you have the one that you've got that's kind of beat up, but that's going to be a great transition ball. But
it's beat up.
Your Sensor Solid at like 1,000 or 2,000 might be just an animal ball in the fresh, and you may not need a fresh Envy Tour. It may not be a bad idea, but that Sensor Solid is all kinds of strong.
No, it's stronger than people give it credit for. It looks good. I'm just trying to. We'll talk this week or this next week. I'm trying to figure. I don't want without taking 25. Without taking 25 balls. I'd like to narrow it down to slow stuff like urethane, microcell polymer, and then something in that range, and then Sensor Solid Envy Tour, something in those range. I think the Ion Pro is going to make the bag. Yeah, I could see that making the bag. I'm trying to figure out though if I need to go something as big as like a Black Widow 3.0, 2.0. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You and I can discuss.
Yeah, I've got a Rubicon UC3 sitting here. I've got a couple Parallaxes. I've got a Sunstorm I could drill. I've got all kinds of stuff.
Ooh, a Sunstorm?
Yeah.
You should drill a Sunstorm.
That would be cool. I'm not sure if I need it with the idle Cosmos because the Cosmos is what I threw the entire time. But
Cosmos is going.
Having a Black Widow urethane would probably be a good idea. A UC3 and possibly a Parallax. Parallaxes.
Yeah.
And we keep getting older and my hands keep shrinking, and so now stuff that I drilled like 2 months ago, all of a sudden I'm swimming in the fingers, and so I drilled a new ball here recently, and I went super small in the fingers. I went to 0 in the thumb from an 1/8 reverse. I can actually hang onto the ball now, and that's cool. So that's part of the reason I'm drilling new stuff. so that I don't have to pitch plug and change slugs and a bunch of crap that's sitting around that I'm probably just not going to throw anyway. So I've got a few excuses. And to talk about the Swiss Trios format and how crazy it is, because there was one year where there was, I think it was like a regional, it was like the RPI or something was the same weekend. And that's what I was
PBA League.
Oh, PBA League, yes.
Yeah.
So the PBA League was one weekend, and instead of it, the Trios is always full at 46 teams with a 3 to 5 team waiting list, vast majority of the time. The PBA League was on the same weekend one year, and we had like 43 teams. They scraped to get to 43 teams because they had that many people that couldn't bowl Swiss because they were bowling the PBA League.
Yeah, this tournament's legit.
So
if I had time, I would 100% try and vlog it. I think it'd be fun for us to do a breakdown pair vlog for it. Excuse me on the cough, by the way. But you just know we're not going to have time. Like, we're going to go to Central Standard probably Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night
have
we're
some
going to go there, have a good time.
Have some beers, relax. We don't bowl till noonish on Saturday.
Noon on Saturday.
Yep. We
They
can sleep in.
They do a random draw for the first. So basically, there's 46 teams. They are full this year, so there's 46 teams. It's $200 a person, so it's $600 for the team. And you bowl 6 games on Saturday, 6 games on Sunday. Every single game is a position round, so they have to draw for teams to begin with. So you'll bowl somebody random the first game, but position round means that you're, again, 1 bowls 2 after every single round. They take track of points, so there's 3 just trios.
Points and pinfall. Yeah,
three person teams. You're bowling the person across from you for 1 point, and then the team total is worth 2 points, so you can get a max of 5 points a game. And so if you have 4 teams that go 5-0 the first game, you're then ranked by pinfall. So if you shot 750 and that's the high score in the building, you're team number 1. 720 is team number 2. 690, 680, team 3 and 4. But 1 bowls 2, 2 bowls, or 3 bowls 4, 5 bowls 6, so on and so forth. And so if you're bowling well and winning points, you're going to continue to bowl other people who are bowling well and winning points. And so to win this thing, you have to bowl extremely well. It's not just a round robin thing where you just you bowl random teams, and if you just happen to bowl a bunch of teams that don't bowl well that weekend, you come out on top. No, if you bowl well, you're continually bowling other teams that are bowling well. But if you get a bad draw or you get a bad beat or whatever else, you're also you're going to be down there bowling against other people who are not bowling well or getting bad beats. And so you can claw your way back up. It's not like you get have a couple bad games and you're just out of it. So
could bowl the same team multiple times.
Yeah, it's a great, and there's several years because we bowl six games on Saturday, 6 games on Sunday, and there have been several years where we bowled the same team 3-4 times in a weekend.
Yep. I'm going to usually do my same routine on Saturday. I'm going to get there early, and I'm going to sit at the bar and have a beer, and I'm going to watch college football. That's what I'm going to do until we get started.
Really the best way to do it. Of course, it's a Bolero now, and so.
You know what? I'll live. I'll make it work.
Yeah.
But no, we're going to have a good time. You and I are only bowling 1 team event for Tulsa this year, too. So. Yeah. Yep. Because Tulsa screwed us this year.
I need to ask him because Tobias was wanting to join the group, but I'm not sure he's going to. And Tobias, I talked to him yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, if he doesn't have room for me, then cool. We'll just."
We had to cut people.
Well, and that's what he said, because I know that there was a handful of them, like his dad and Phil, and I'm sure that Trent is like don't worry about me anyway.
Wouldn't shock me if they're not going. So
yeah,
only one of our group, one team out of our whole group is bowling 2 team events.
2 team events.
So yeah, he told me straight up. He said I had to cut people because we reserved our team event in Tulsa while we were there last year. Yeah. But because they moved to that app now, their online thing, they didn't honor the people that reserved.
Yeah, they voided all the
is terrible. They should have went in and backfilled it.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have loaded all the people that they had reservations for into the system
Yes.
But they didn't. They just said, okay, well, we're scheduling on the app now. And Trevor didn't know about it, so we didn't have.
They didn't say that they weren't honoring the old groups.
Yeah, they just said we're signing up online now.
Which I'm okay to only bowl one team event. So,
yeah, I'm fine with that too. Those other idiots.
I can get out of there and go. We
can go to the breweries, American Solaris and Cabin Boys and whatever, and
we are bowling the morning squad.
That's great. So we can go to those breweries, and they had the college football on the million TVs at Cabin Boys and ping pong and cornhole and Angels ring toss game.
I'm hitting that Mexican restaurant again too. That was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But Angels ring toss game. The Raylan played with her. Yeah, we'll go do that again. 100%. I'm not going to sit around the bowling center if I'm not bowling. So.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. The last couple of years when we've driven down there, I've taken James to the because I ride down with James and room with James, and I've taken him to a place in Winfield that's great. It's in an old train depot and.
Oh yeah, that place. Yeah,
but I think I'm going to take him to Radius in Emporia on the way down there instead this year because we've gone to the other place a couple times. Radius is great, and then that Mexican restaurant in Tulsa by the hotels is ridiculous. So we're going to hit that Friday night for sure.
So if you want to join us this year for dinner in Tulsa, that we went to a pizza place last year on Saturday night. That was killer. But they had everything. They had pasta. Salad. It wasn't just pizza. We're going again. Trevor said something about going again Saturday night. So you and I can always do Mexican for dinner and then go to Central Standard. So
that's the we can either eat Mexican for. I know that we're going there. We're going there Friday night, and we might end up going and watching the sweeper or whatever else. James said I don't think James is bowling the sweeper. We were planning on going to the Mexican place Friday night. And then Saturday, we can bowl the early squad, and we can hang around for a minute. But we can still go hit the breweries, and then we can do the pizza. Once everybody else gets done bowling, we can hit the pizza place Saturday night.
Heck yeah, it was really good. I think you would like it. I know you would like it, actually.
Yeah. I think that we just went to we went with Hunter and Megan back to the Mexican place Saturday night while you guys went to go get pizza. But
it's good. I mean, I wanted to go back to the Mexican place. I tried to get Trevor and them to go back or to go to the Mexican place because they didn't have it, but it was all good. It was also 30 seconds from my hotel too.
yeah, that's the other thing.
Which I think we're going to stay there again since it's in Broken Arrow.
Mm-hmm. We're going to stay there again because it's actually closer to Broken Arrow than it was to Andy B. But since it's all at Broken Arrow, it's just like 5 minutes down the road now from those hotels.
Yep.
So.
I guess nobody wants to hear us talk about this anymore. We got KCO this weekend, Swiss Trios next weekend. So we have 2 tournaments coming up in the next 2 weekends before our next show. So we will definitely discuss a little bit of that coming up on our next show. Are we making a decision to go to Wednesday nights?
Yeah, I would say that we're probably just going ahead and go to Wednesday nights because we had a few votes for that and then nobody objected. So I'd say that we'll just be back 2 weeks on Wednesday.
Yep.
Instead.
That actually works out for me because one of the days that we're scheduled to have a BDP, Raylan has a skate party from school, so that works out. So Wednesdays is fine. We'll do that through football season. We can reassess if we want to stay that way into the summer. We can, but for now, I think it's a good move.
Yep, we'll go back to Wednesday with Monday Night Football, and it's I'm pretty sure the game's on now. We've run a little bit over, but we had some interesting stuff to talk about, and so appreciate everybody hanging out. We got a lot of people. We got people coming into town starting tomorrow night, and then we'll have Angel and I are off of work Monday through Friday, and we've got a bunch of people coming into town for KCO this weekend, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. I've got a 17-pound brisket sitting in the cooler that I need to cut up and get ready to go. So we're going to smoke that and have everybody over on Thursday, and then we'll have Jack Stack on Saturday night, and we've got the Den on Friday night, and we just got all kinds of good things going on for the weekend. So
Niners, Clint, Niners.
Yep, I need
have fun this weekend, y'all. Oh, Andrew's not coming.
Yeah, no, Andrew's not going to make it. Him and Cyan got married this year, and so
unacceptable.
They had some other things going on, but I'm sure that they'll be back next year.
Good.
Just
Good
didn't
deal.
work for him this year. So
It's all right. No problem.
we got
No
some
problem.
newbies coming this year, so we got some fresh blood we'll get to meet, and we got some of the regulars or most of the regulars coming back. So good time. We're going to Norseman, of course, on Friday for lunch.
I may
So-
still try to make. Excuse me. I may still try to make that. I haven't been able to. My work week this week is kind of crappy. I mean, it's a super busy week. We got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to try and make Norseman on Friday at least.
Okie doke. Well, we're a little over, and so we can wrap this up. I've got supper ready, and then I need to go. Brock Purdy needs to do some things for me tonight. I've got a parlay that I'm 3 out of 4 legs. I've got some. Before we get out of here, I've got some interesting stuff going on FanDuel. If it'll let me pull it back up, because it. Thank you. Log in.
Excuse me.
So I got the 4th leg, and I barely squeaked by. Oh, come on. This is going to be stupid. I barely squeaked by last night. The Lions pulled it out because they were one of my legs, but I had a 4-leg parlay that included the 49ers. I got the 40. I put together the spread's only 3.5, or on the spread's 3.5. So I took the 49ers to cover the spread and the money line, and the point total for the game was 42.5. And so I took the over, parlayed that, and then there was one that was plus 25,000. One of the prop bets. Each team needs to score a touchdown and a field goal in each half. And so I thought I'll put $5 on that, plus 25,000.
It's a 7-6 ball game. Jets 10:04 left in the second quarter.
Yeah. So if both teams score one touchdown and one field goal in each half, I hit that for $1,200. So then that'll be cool.
Solid. I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah. I need Brock to do some things though. So
Do some things.
do some things.
All right, people. I'm gonna go watch some football.
Yeah, we talked long enough, and I need to get out of here. And we got stuff going on. Big weekend. We'll see you in a couple weeks on Wednesday.
Yep. Thank you.
So see y'all.
Be a friend.
later.
Tell a friend something nice. Could change their